For a brief time, the trolley was more important than the electric light because while only the wealthy had electric light in their homes, almost every blue-collar worker was riding the trolley to work. Mass transit was necessary to get workers to the factories that employed them. It began with steam ferries in New York City in 1810 and expanded to omnibuses, trolleys, and later railroads. Ogdensburg's first foray into the mass transit business began with horse-drawn cars in 1886 when the first tracks were laid. However, Ogdensburg was late in entering the mass transit race. The first streetcar ran in New York City in 1832. Streetcars were a vast improvement over omnibuses, which were horse-drawn carriages that ran on designated routes. One horse could pull a larger streetcar because the car ran on tracks laid in the street. Two crew members operated the car with a driver in the front and a conductor in the rear. By 1873, streetcars were being converted to cable cars or trolleys. A ditch or vault was dug between the rails with a cable inserted to power the car. A powerhouse generated electricity to power the trolley with an overhead wire installed over streets. Each trolley had a long pole on its roof that touched the wire. By 1890, most American cities had trolley cars, which was advantageous because electrical cars were reliable, eliminated horse manure in the streets, and the need to care for animals. In Ogdensburg, there was no shelter for drivers on the original streetcars. Sleds were used in the winter instead of wheels, with enclosed cars for passengers. Straw was placed on the floor to protect passengers' feet, and a stove kept the cabin warm. Motormen had to drive the car, shovel coal, and keep kerosene lamps lit. The barns were located on Catherine Street, where Hannon and Henry later had a car dealership. There were 21 horses and 5 streetcars, with 2 miles of track. After horses made 2 round trips, they were switched out. 2 horses stopped at a local tavern where their former owner was known to frequent. Routes ran from the Silk Mill on Ford Street, the former Ames store, to the Lake Street Bridge and New York Avenue to the city limits, and ran from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. There was also a route to the State Hospital. Routes connected with the New York Central and Rutland Railroads, with each ride costing 5 cents. Drivers had envelopes with a nickel in each because drivers did not have time to make change. Ogdensburg citizens used local streetcars regularly, but the days of horse-drawn streetcars didn't last long. Streetcar technology advanced rapidly. Frank Sprague installed the first electric trolley system in 1888 in Richmond, Virginia, with Ogdensburg changing to electric trolleys in 1895. Most of the horses were sold at public auction. However, Old Mag and Tommy Boy, purchased by a Hewelton farmer, weren't ready to retire. They escaped their pasture and were found by police standing at the rails on Ford Street, ready for work. The first official trolley in Ogdensburg began at the Hotel Norman in August 1895. Crowds lined the streets and waited on roofs and windows to witness the event. A motorman from Pennsylvania was brought to operate the car because no one else knew how to do it. Right after the new trolley system was operational, the old horse barn burned, killing 4 horses. The first ride was supposed to be free, but a conductor charged riders anyway. In 1898, a route was added on State Street that ran to the cemeteries and fairgrounds. The trolley proved to be immensely popular. When Ralph Hawkins was president of the street railway, called the St. Lawrence Utilities Company, tracks were laid to the sandy beach. The company installed a merry-go-round and roller coaster. Beachgoers also were entertained by moving pictures and vaudeville shows. The beach was nicknamed the Coney Island of the North and was crowded with children and adults alike. However, this idyllic time would not last forever. Progress marched on and left the trolley behind. A attorney Edward Lynch had the honor of riding the first streetcar and the last, and estimated that he had spent over $4,000 in fares. The last day of operation for the Ogdensburg Street Railway was April 1, 1932, and many older residents, including Lynch, regretted the passing of the old streetcars. But while trolleys and streetcars were popular for about 50 years, the coming of the automobile put an end to this mode of transportation.